And now, I have the distinct pleasure of inviting a dear friend, a fellow attorney, a climate champion to the stage, the chair of California's Air Resources Board, Ms. Liane Randolph, who will be offering tonight's keynote speech.
Thank you so much for having me. What a wonderful evening. It's so great to see so many old friends and making new friends, and this has been absolutely fabulous. I'm excited to be here in Los Angeles, the city where I was born. My dad, in LA. My dad was stationed at Los Angeles Air Force Station, which a surprising number of people in LA don't know exists. And so I was born when my family was living in Baldwin Hills, and then we went away and we came back for middle school, and then we went away and I came back for college, UCLA, for both undergrad and law school. And then I sadly went away up to Northern California, but I consider it a parenting triumph that my kids were born and raised in Northern California, and they are loyal Dodger fans. So I succeeded. So it's so fitting that we are here in this beautiful stadium with this event, because climate action is a team sport. And Climate Resolve is an example of how that team sport comes together. How we bring together federal officials, state officials, local officials, community organizations, residents, companies like GAF doing new and exciting things to tackle our climate crises. We bring all of this work together as a team to tackle our climate crisis, to mitigate the effects of climate change, to adapt to the changing climate, to address things like extreme heat, wildfire, all of the climate impacts that we are dealing with today here in California. Together, we make progress. And at the California Air Resources Board, we are working hard on many, many fronts to continue California's leadership in the climate space and making progress. So I'll just give you a few examples of some of the work we're doing. First of all, transportation. So much of our climate progress in California has been in sectors like energy and industry, but transportation, it represents almost 50% of our GHG emissions in the state of California, if you include the production and refining of petroleum products. So, and transportation also has the biggest impact on our communities. If you look at the 710 corridor, you look at the impacts on communities, the heavy-duty trucking, the port equipment, all of that causes asthma, cancer, incredible public health impacts that we have the ability, we have the technology, we have the ability to stop those impacts. And so the Air Resources Board, with its Advanced Clean Trucks rule that it adopted in 2020, is moving towards zero for the heavy-duty sector in California. The governor's executive order, light-duty vehicles, zero emission by 2035, medium and heavy-duty by 2040, and off-road equipment, which is an important sector, zero emission as well. And so yesterday, I had the opportunity to go to the Antelope Valley Transit Authority and see the first fully electric transit fleet. It was amazing. And the best part was after we saw the transit fleet, we went to BYD, which manufactures a lot of the vehicles, and I saw those LADOT zero emission vehicles being born in the factory. And I got in my, ICE rental car, unfortunately, but I got in my rental car, I drove here, and I'm driving down Figueroa, and there was one of the zero-emission buses, the LADOT buses that I saw being built in Lancaster, driving down the street. I was like, yay, this is awesome. So, we continue our regulatory work. Our Advanced Clean Cars rule is coming up this summer. That will chart our path to zero-emission light-duty vehicles by 2035. And our Advanced Clean Fleet rules coming in the fall will drive fleet purchases to zero emission starting in 2024. So we're really making huge progress in the transportation sector. And, people never thought that we would be seeing zero-emission Class 8 trucks on our road. They are there, they are driving, they are cleaning our communities, and we need way more of them. So, and the other great thing is we've had the incredible heavy-duty and light-duty vehicles, and we are really, as we are working with the legislature to direct those funds, we are really focusing on equity. We are really focusing on getting vehicles in the hands of low and moderate income residents in the state of California that need those incentives to purchase the vehicles, and focusing on those small fleets that need that extra help to purchase those vehicles in the medium and heavy duty space. So super excited about the investments that the state of California is making in cleaning up our transportation sector. And of course, I can't help but mention our climate change scoping plan that we do every 5 years. We are updating it in 2022, and we are setting forth our next assessing our path towards 2030 and the progress we're making towards our 2030 goals, and then also assessing carbon neutrality by 2045 or sooner. And we are really looking at all of the tools on the table. What are the things we can do to make progress in sectors like transportation, but also in natural and working lands? What are the natural carbon sequestration strategies that we can deploy? What are the mechanical carbon sequestration and capturing strategies we can deploy? And again, all of that is with an eye towards how do we avoid unintended consequences on our communities and prioritize the communities that have been hardest hit both by air quality and by climate impacts. And we are doing all of that work with community in mind, and having partners like all of you and Climate Resolve and community organizations like Pacoima Beautiful, and having the opportunity to really work with communities and try to build solutions that will address the impacts on those communities that have not had had attention paid to them over the years, who have not been served well. And we want to change that at CARB and work with all of you to do that. So I am just really honored and excited to be in this role and to make progress. As Assemblymember Rivas mentioned, I was in Glasgow as well at COP26, and the world is looking at us. They are talking to us. They want to know, how do your vehicle regulations work? Walk me through that. How does your carbon pricing work? What are some of the strategies? What has been successful? What are the things you would change? Those were all conversations that we were having in Scotland. And subnational action is so critical. I got to meet states in Mexico and in Brazil, where it's really, so much is happening at the local level. And California, was the leader through the dark days of the last administration, and we're continuing to move with our new partnerships in Washington. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Climate Resolve, for your leadership in this space. And thank you for having me.